All right, here he is, the man himself, Mr. Dean Clark. Welcome, friend. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Tina.
So, we're excited to have you on today because you have built a business on the foundation that I believe in, which is picking up the phone, talking to a bunch of people, and never having this roller coaster effect of a business. But I wanted to go back and show our listeners what it is and how you started in the business because you've been, 13 years, I think, in the business now.
Yeah, 13 years in the business. The first 6 years of my career, I was on a team. So I was a buyer's agent on a team, mainly working with buyers, a lot of Zillow leads, Realtor.com, the whole like internet stuff. But this was in the early days when it was really getting going. So it was interesting to say the least, but you were working like a dog. So I wanted to make a change. And so basically, though, how I got into the business was it was around 2008, 2009 when the first big financial crisis happened. And I was 23 years old, 24, and I was working on Wall Street. I was a stockbroker, so I knew the corporate world a little bit. And I didn't want to go get necessarily another job or do something else in that world just because I saw how many things were changing there. Because my big dream was to be a floor trader, but that world is completely gone with computers. So now it was a couple of choices like where can I still sell, use my skill set that I use via the phone to then get into some other high ticket item that I could sell. And real estate was it. My family came from the real estate background, but I did not want to be in the suburbs where my mother sells. I wanted to be in the city because I'm a city guy. I don't know. It vibes with me. I like the buildings. I like the commercial aspect of things. And so anyway, Hoboken, Jersey City was where I ended up having a meeting with a Coal banker agent at the time. And the rest is history, they say. And so I started on his team for about 2 years. Then someone else had approached me to join theirs also within Coldwell Banker. So for 4 years, I was running with them. And that's when all like the internet stuff. And I had to coach with Tom Ferry at that time. So that was
Mm,
my first coach in the business.
mhm.
And which is fine. There was a lot of good skills. A lot in the early days of Tom Ferry, which was good, is that you got a lot of mindset stuff going on. And for me at that time, I had to build a lot of my self-esteem. So my
Yeah.
self was what I call my emotional bank account was super negative, and I need to build that up first so that I can get financial gains in my financial bank account. So anyway, move that forward. I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to go on my own. I want to start a family, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to look at my kids and say, hey, you go take risks later in life because this is what you should do. I want to actually be that dad, be that person that they can look up to. Because from what I know is that kids, they don't necessarily listen to what you say, but they will see what you do. And
Right.
so they have the behavior that they can emulate that is saying, dad's taking risks. Dad's going out there and making it happen. And that's to me, the family aspect of things, because I guess I'm Greek and that's just what it is. The
Yeah.
family motivates me to make certain moves. So anyway, so yeah, 2017, went to Remax, wanted to just be my own agent, but I wanted to learn the skill set of selling. And that's when I got with Mike Ferry. So
Mhm.
what our vibe has always been, right? Which is the old school fundamental, as you say, classically trained in that world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, and ever since then, that's where it came from. So
I love the sentiment of I'm going to jump out and take a risk because if I'm going to coach my kids eventually to take risks in life, then I have to be one that showed them that. Was it scary leaving the team? Because there are high performing agents
oh yeah.
on teams. Of course, I have agents making $400,000. They don't have all
Yep.
the overhead, the expense, the
Well,
nightmare.
Tina,
Yeah.
I'll just be honest. I was making $300,000 a year in
Right.
2015 and 15,
Right.
and
Right.
I was on the team, and
Right.
my team split. So I was that agent,
There
and I
you go.
remember
There
those
you go.
days. I was
Yeah.
like 29, 30, 31 years old, somewhere in that range,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was like, "This is fantastic," but it was very scary to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but I knew I could not live with myself the same way, and that would be a huge regret if I didn't at least try or make an attempt at
Right.
making it happen, and that's the reason.
And you come from entrepreneurial parents. They're both entrepreneurs. Your mom's a real estate agent. She runs her
Yeah.
own team. It's almost like a rite of passage. Like you have to prove that mom's doing it. I can do it. I think
Well,
that
my whole family, my grandparents, one was English, one was Greek. That's why the Clark is here, but my Costandino is my Greek name. But
right.
like on my Greek side, so my grandfather, he owned his own diner with a couple
Right.
partners. So he owned his own diner, ran a business. Then I had on my father's side, the Clark side, he was an entrepreneur in his own right. He wrote books and was on radio shows in Mexico. So it just like that was the lineage, but it was still scary because I didn't, my grandparents, they took the biggest risk coming to the country, okay, from London and then also Greece. Then it was my parents then taking another risk and saying, don't do a normal job, 9 to 5. I'm going to take real estate. And
Right.
so they were always on commission based sales. So that exposure helped me out. But remember, my world in the suburbs of New Jersey here, you're not exposed all the time. The majority of the public, especially around my area, it's a little bit of a catch-22 because I don't know how it is in like the Midwest or the South by you, but you can make a really good living on a really nice salary here. Like
Yeah.
a million a year plus, like there's some heavy hitters on Wall Street here, whatever, hedge fund world, tech and everything, but it's still a job, a W-2. And so when my friends were getting normal jobs, like being a lawyer, one was being an accountant, being a teacher, they all sounded nice at that time because there was not a lot of opportunity,
Right.
but it was, yeah. So it was something I knew that I would regret if I didn't do it.
Yeah. And I think that when I talk about this a lot, being a real estate agent, people say, I want to have freedom. Okay. But sometimes I think an awful part of the industry is that most people fail because they have too much freedom. They don't have the accountability of a job, that steady cash flow, that responsibility, that purpose when you get up out of bed. Because this job, you have to have a very tough mindset or it can crash and burn. Like you said, I had to build my mindset, build my courage. Now you're in running this team. Is it all rainbows and beautiful, clear waters, or is it hard running a team and being in that seat? Because there's probably people listening to this going, I think
Well,
I'm gonna go run a team. And you're like, "But that's
running
for everyone."
running a team, it's funny you say that. I've learned a lot in the last year,
Yeah.
because I really made a financial commitment and a real attempt joining forces at the firm that we're at now to really be with the right people to help me build a team,
Mhm.
let alone run a team. Like you're actually running a team. Tina Cole's group, you guys are running a team. I'm
Yeah.
just in build mode, just trying to get out there and build with the right agents. I've
Right.
learned a ton in the last year though. And that's
Yeah.
one good thing. And I'm glad that I went a little negative in order to take 2 steps back to 4 steps forward now,
Mhm.
because I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know who the avatar is for the team, who we're looking for, and it's not going to be for everybody, which is fine. But you can have security in this business.
Mhm.
And I think agents, when you talk about having free time, they're getting they want their freedom. You can't. So I'll give you an example. I had an agent when I left Remax who approached me, and she asked me, I'm thinking about leaving the team that I was at on Remax. And I said, okay, can you project out in the next 6 months where your leads are coming from?
Mhm.
Or are you just going to wing it and just hope the best that someone's going to call you, that they're going to do business with you? And sure enough, she did really well with referral income because she
Mhm.
had a good network. But I told her, I said, listen, if you decide, I'll name her Sarah for this podcast. With Sarah, if you decide at some point that like all of a sudden that's all you're going to do, but what happens if it dries up in 6 months? What
Right.
happens if you don't get that? What are you going to do? The way to get security in this business, and everyone in Hoboken knows I'm the calling guy. That's just been that cold cowboy, I guess you want to call it. They just, oh yeah, Dean just locked himself in a room. He likes being with no windows and just likes it. And I'm like, I don't like doing this every single day. Okay.
Fun.
But it provide, but I always look at the end goal, which is the end result is this is about, this is the only way to provide security for me and my family and the team. And for anyone that works with us and partners with us to say, look, there's a way to do it. And if you make your calls consistently with the right activities, so mindset, skills, activities, action, then you're golden and you're never going to have ups and downs with these roller coaster income rides.
I love that. And it is so true. The calling guy or the calling girl, it was when my last name is calls, a lot of calls, but it's like the only way to have that consistency. And it's the worst job. It's not fun. We all know it's not fun. I used to dread it. Kevin and I used to hype each other up with music and tea and whatever to get going. But I'm so blessed and thankful that we did it. So let's touch on that. Now we're partners at EXP Realty. We met through social media, the power of social media. And during the pandemic, when you were thinking about maybe moving out of state because you were freezing cold and stuck in your house. But since then, you have started the Phone Warriors group and talk a little bit about why it's so important to build that foundational skill and what the Phone Warriors group does for agents at all brokerages.
Yeah. So the Phone Warriors is a Facebook group where
Mhm.
it's free. You can join, and where we have great content around mindset skills, activities, and actions around the calling, the actual tool using the phone to generate business. And we also have a live Zoom that you can also log on for free, where you can see agents all around the country that are implementing the scripts and dialogues that are working today. Because I know there's a lot of training and coaching programs out there. We're not a coaching company. Okay. That's not what this is. We will have trainings that will happen over time over the course of this year, but this is really, it's a community. It's a community where we are finding people that understand that this activity provides that security, that provides that consistency in your income. And so it allows everyone to get together on a bigger scale. Because look, you and I come from a very similar world with the Mike Ferry world. Now, I will say that there was a lot of these little like villages of prospecting Zooms that lived. Oh, I'm on this little one, but there's 3 people on it. Or there's
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm with someone else. And it's like, you don't really get the whole country in one, right? So the idea was born out of that to say, look, if we open this up to the rest of the agents, would they like it? And honestly, for no joke, for 10, 11 months, Rich and I did not even understand. I didn't even understand the value that we were providing at the time.
Right.
But when you have a collective group doing the same mission every single day, and you see the members that are showing up, and now we went from in the beginning of the year last year, it was maybe 5 to 10 consistent members that were popping up. Now
Okay.
we're getting more known, phone were starting to blow up,
Mm.
and now we're starting to see. Now we're at 20 to 25 people at the
Nice.
start of right now. Like
Nice.
this morning, we
Nice.
had 20, 25 members that were live, and they've been consistent for 3 months.
Nice.
So it's just that support group that your brokerage or whatever, no one's really supporting you in this effort because they want you to go to more events. They want you to go do open houses. They want you to go do all the things. They all make money. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But you got to start somewhere with making a more direct contact with someone if you really want to earn the big bucks in this business.
It's a daily habit. And so what I liken it to is when I used to get up and go into the office and there was nobody except myself. And I had my role play partner and we did role play for a little bit, but that's it. I was left to my own devices. Now you guys have a support group where you can go on there and watch you doing the daily task, listening to the calls, and it's having a coach to work out like a fitness trainer and saying, no, you're getting your butt to the gym and I'm going to be there with you. That is an accountability. And that is what I think moves the needle for these people. And
Yeah,
it,
actually, that's a really good analogy, actually, Tina, because it is like going to like, let's say you want to work out, right?
yeah,
But you have a group of 25 people that are all around the country in one little session, and you show up. But here's the beauty of it, though: when people start seeing that you're showing up, and then all of a sudden you vanish for a week,
right.
and then those people that saw you for that long, they will reach out to you personally and say, "Where have you
Where
been?"
are you?
And that's the account of that. See, but there's like an embedded accountability there, and yeah, so it's been pretty cool.
And of all the real estate agents that I've met throughout my 24 years, when I joined the Mike Ferry organization years ago, and I'm no longer with them, but I still love them. 15 years ago, all the rich agents that I met that truly like they
Yeah,
had businesses,
profitable.
their money, they were there. They were in the Mike Ferry organization. The rest, like I know a lot of people that follow Tom Ferry, and he's great. But the problem that I find with Tom is when you go to an event, it's okay. Here's your book. There's a plethora of different ways you can build a business. Where
Yeah,
most students go, I'm screwed. I don't know which lane to pick, and I'm going to do nothing. I literally had an agent that said she threw the book in the trash after she left one of the events and said, I'm done. I don't even know where to start. I'm over it. I just wasted my money. And so I think with your system, our system, it's so simple. It's so
yeah,
simple. And you touched on scripts and dialogue. Why do you think so many agents hate scripts? Because if I said to you, Dean, cut your commission. Dean, you don't work in my area. Dean, I've met another agent that will do it for cheaper. Every commission I throw at you or objection, you're going to have an answer. Like, why? Talk a little bit about why that's so powerful, especially to a new agent that's listening. And they're like, oh, I don't like scripts because I'm naturally a conversationalist. Well, so am I, but
well, you
scripts
know,
change my world.
yeah, scripts. I don't know the answer to why agents. I think there's a lot of different ways to say the same message, but there are certain words that do work a lot better than most. And so let's just call it for what it is, right? As an example, yesterday I took a listing. that was from an expired call that I made on New Year's Day.
Mhm.
And this was a guy that he said, Dean, I think you should work on Wall Street. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you didn't give me any chance to brush you off the phone. I was trying to get you off the phone. I didn't want to do this. Like, I didn't even want to meet with you. And somehow you're here. And I was like, that's exactly right. So is it the type of agent that you would like to hire? Or do you want your reactive agent you had before, just waiting for something to show up one day at your doorstep?
Yeah.
But like, so I think that when you get comfortable with it, I think, look, there's a lot of points in it. I don't know the exact reason, but I just scripts and dialogues, like it's a mindset. You got to shift your mindset on what that looks like. And I
Mhm.
will say that even for me, when I got with Mike after I left my team at Caul Banker, I I had to rework how I was asking questions.
Mhm.
So even 7 years at that point in the business, I didn't really know how to ask real good questions.
Mhm.
It was a skill set that I had to learn. But what is sales? Sales is a series of questions that lead someone down the path that they would like to go. And you
Right.
do a fantastic job with that on everyone that I introduce you to. I love it because I'm like, this is a salesperson. This is who we need,
Mhm.
right? Because even at your level, you're still curious.
I'm
But I
curious.
find that the agents that are not curious enough, and there's a genuine, it could be sometimes scared a little bit, but I'll be
Mhm.
honest, there's a selfishness with that.
Yeah.
If you are scared to call someone or not be curious, that means that you don't care really as much as you think that you do care. You
So
say
true.
you like people, you say you want to help people, but the helping and the people is listening to their needs and then asking another question to begin, okay, maybe this makes sense. How about one of these three things? Would any of these? And it's like offering solutions to that. And that's the script. That is what it is. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you hit it on the money. It's I am genuinely curious. I think you are genuinely curious and you do like to help people. And so that crafting that skill, it's we're not trying to take people's money or lead them down a path where they're going to do something ridiculously wrong. We're just trying to get them to have the aha so we can guide them to where we know they need to go. But that is by asking a lot of questions. And I love learning about other people. It's just fun for me. And
right.
so yeah, becoming a what does our good friend Phil Jones say? You have to become a professional decision maker upper. And so you're just leading them down a path so they can say yes or no. Maybe is terrible. Maybe is terrible. So how do we get a yes or a no out of a customer so we can lead them down that path?
And then one last thing on that point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So actors and actresses, okay, every one of them have a script that they can read, right?
Right.
But why does when I read the script, I make a certain outcome from that, but then when someone else reads the script, they have a certain outcome from that. Okay, it's all because of how it's internalizing those words so that you can deliver it in your own way and perform. It's a performance.
The performance, yes. Michael say the natural ending to a great presentation is asking for the business. That
Yeah.
it's presentation. So that's the natural ending. Ask for the business and go to town there. That is what you're supposed to do. So I love that. I love all of that. And I think that is where your success comes from, whether you were on a team, building a team, now building phone warriors and the network. So I'm going to put in the links in our podcast and in our YouTube channel, the link to phone warriors. So you guys can get into Dean's group. And it is probably the best value I've ever seen. And I keep yelling at him because he probably should start charging for this, but he hasn't. But one day he might. So this is your opportunity to get in for free because I'm sure all the members will be grandfathered in. But this is a value that shouldn't be missed because it's true accountability. It's showing up, it's having a partner and having free coaching. And then if you're, really wanting to go the next level, it's saying, I want to be around people like this all the time. I want to join Dean and his mission to grow a network in every state. We want a group like Phone Warriors so he can help you set that up and become a rock star. So, Dean, thank you so much for
Yep.
being on the show and just dropping your knowledge bombs. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next show and keep being awesome.